So we've had a request for an identification um, with the body-mind theme for our meditation today. So let me just first begin by inviting you to find a comfortable way to sit upright, not too rigid, with your feet on the floor. If you're sitting on a chair. And let's just begin by looking at, very honestly, who you take yourself to be. That's where we'll begin. So if you were asked, well, who are you? You're at a party or someone said, who are you? How would you speak about who you are? And just see what comes to mind. So for most of us, most of the time, what initially comes up is some form of, well, I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm a father, I'm a son, I'm a mother, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, a brother, I work at a particular job. I like to garden, I like to ski. I mean, whatever it is, you begin to talk about how the I is really a this or that. I was born a certain place. My parents were like such and such. On and on we may go. And we're talking about an I that is this or that. And we've been taught that. And life has mirrored it back to us our whole life, that who we are is a separate body-mind organism, a separate human being, separate from the world, separate from one another, and often just some thoughts that make it feel like we're separate from ourselves even. When you make self-judgments. I like myself, I hate myself, I'm proud of myself, I'm ashamed of myself, I'm disappointed in myself, I love myself. All of those kinds of separations, even within the experience of what you take yourself, perhaps, to be a separate body, mind. So just for a moment, imagine that all of the thises and that's just drop away. And you're left with I, the I or the I am, without any kind of descriptors. So now we're invited to look into the matter of who or what this I am actually could be. We have the idea that it's a single person. It certainly is a unique expression of life as a human being. But what is the I am for you in your experience when you just sit with that question? Where does it take you? Or what is revealed? Just I am. And you still may come to I am is the body. Is there something deeper than that? Are there any moments that you recall where your definition of yourself kind of falls away and you just experience the moment as it is without identifying with any aspect of it as being separate from the I am, being separate from you, if you want to use those terms? Maybe you're dancing, or you're listening to music, or you're taking a run, or you're surfing, or you're writing poetry, and somehow something just takes over and there's a flow, and you don't always, in the moment that it's happening, have a thought, I am doing this. It's just doing. It's just being itself. Likewise, all kinds of things are happening in the body, which is a unique body. We're not trying to say all bodies are the same or all minds are the same, but there may be a shared essence. That's what we're wondering about. But if we just stay in the moment with the body, there are all kinds of happenings occurring right now, are there not? Food is digesting if you had a meal earlier. There's a certain temperature that you may feel where you are. There's a hearing that's happening of sounds. Something knows if the body is tense or relaxed, comfortable or uncomfortable. And are you actually in charge of any of that as some separate doer? Are you in charge of your heart beating or your lungs breathing? Or even thoughts are rising, or do they just arise experientially? Does the body simply process its food? Perhaps responding to some kinds of food in a very positive way, other types of food maybe not so positively. Too much caffeine, too much chocolate, perhaps there are allergies and so forth and so on. All of that is simply happening. And you would say it's happening to me, to a me. You would be right, but you might not know who or what that me actually is. So we come back to that question of who am I? Who is the experiencer of life? Is it somebody separate from life? Is this human being separate from being itself? How do you see yourself? And what's at the heart, at the center, in the depths of who or what you are? Because if you look within, if you turn your attention inward, you may very well bump up against a mystery that really doesn't even have a name. It doesn't have your name or any other name. And yet it is here, awake, aware in each one of us. There is a ground out of which life is created, or mystery out of which form arises. And it could not be known, seen, felt, tasted, touched in any way without what is awake and aware in you, in what you deeply are. So we might be able to see that that's so. If I had no awareness, I wouldn't know where I am or what I am or who I am or who I've taken myself to be or how I feel. Without awareness, we would know nothing. We would not know a single experience. So it's pretty basic and it's very simple and it's ever present, and yet we overlook it continually. And even if we don't overlook it, we claim it. The separate I am is what's aware. That's a feeling we may have, thought we may hold, belief that we may carry. It's a separate somebody who's awake and aware, or who doesn't think they are awake, or who has no relationship to their own simple awareness. It's just given, it's just taken for granted. And yet, here it is. So we have all been conditioned to believe in the separate self. And regardless of what you may have awakened to in terms of what's deeper than a separate somebody, there still is the tendency to identify with all the happenings as belonging to a separate somebody. It's true, I don't know your thoughts, you don't know my thoughts. Doesn't that mean we're separate? But what's aware of your thoughts? What's aware of my thoughts? Maybe aware across the board. If we are born into a particular form, be it an animal form, fish form, human form, we will have some degree of identification with the body-mind. That's a given. That's how we know if we're hungry or what mouth to feed. If we're searching for food, there is an identification with the body that's part of our heritage. No matter how deeply awakened we may be, we still need a rudimentary identification to know which of us needs to go to the bathroom, which stomach is empty or full. All of those things are part of this that we are identifying itself in a rudimentary way with a body and a mind. But we've been conditioned to take that much, much further. To imagine that hint of identification that's required for functioning, which we're not judging is wrong or bad or even unwelcome, but we have taken it very innocently because we've all been conditioned to believe it extends far beyond what's needed for functioning. Now we have lots of layers put onto the I am. I'm thin, I'm fat, I'm beautiful, I'm ugly, I'm great, I'm a failure. Lots and lots of layers that create a self-image. And that image is of a self that's separate. And that self-image creates a great deal of suffering, even if it's a positive self-image, because now we have to uphold it. But if it's a negative self-image, a different kind of suffering, but still a lot of suffering with self-judgment. Because then the self-judgment is projected into other judgment. And pretty soon we have an idea about how we should be, how everything else should be, how the world should be, how the moment should be, on and on and on and on. But what if we came back, even for a few moments, to things just happening, like our digestion or our heart beating, or how the body-mind believing a negative belief perhaps will experience negative emotion, contraction. Or if we're experiencing joy, the body will respond with its own relaxation or glee or pleasure. What if those are all just happenings? Just happenings in the wholeness of being, happenings in the universe of form, thought form, feeling form, tree form, human form. What if it's just a moment as it is? Can you imagine an incredible freedom when you're not judging or interpreting a moment? Saying to yourself, it shouldn't have happened, it shouldn't be here, it should be different, I should be different. I need to go someplace that I'm not now. But wherever you go, there you are, as the saying goes. You are present. Something is present, regardless of how you feel, where you go, what you do or you don't do, something is present. What is that? So these are all just questions to pose to yourself as we sit together. And we'll just take let's take another 10 minutes really, since this invitation has been quite lengthy. But let's just take another 10 minutes to sit in silence, perhaps even as the silence, and listen to what wants to be revealed in you. Listen to the answers that your mind comes up with and the answers that something deeper may reveal. It may not be the same answers, or they might be. So in about 10 minutes, you'll hear the bell.